Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Talking Major League Baseball today, the World Series stage is set between the Braves and the Astros. The Astros are the higher seed, so they're going to get Game 1 and 2 at home, and 6 and 7. The Braves get Game 3, 4, and 5 if 7 is necessary. But again, we're just going to be giving our predictions today and talking about how these two teams are going to match up. Before we get into the video, question of the day. Drop your score predictions down below for the series. If you think the Braves are going to sweep, you think the Astros are going to sweep, or it's going to take 7 games, comment down below and you'll hear our predictions at the end. But Jay, what comes to your mind first about this matchup?
I'd have to say Rosario and Alvarez. Can both of these guys on each team keep up the offense we saw a statistic of Alvarez for the Astros in Game 6. He was basically out hitting the Red Sox in Games 4 through 6.
And there at the top of the screen is Rosario hit over 500 in the NLCS. So
exactly.
both of them
so
insane.
He was doing what Kike was doing for the Red Sox in the beginning series, and it switched, and then we saw the momentum change, and the Astros are rolling. Braves are rolling. They got over the hump of not losing the 3-1 lead like they did last year. There's a lot of offensive firepower in this game, but those two are the ones that stick out. To me, the most, of course, there's a great supporting cast, and if I had a bet, I would say those guys don't keep up those type of numbers, those type of averages, and someone else is going to take the lead as the offensive star hitter, whether it be Freeman or, Ozzie for the Braves, and then Altuve and Correa are always there for the Astros. To me, this screams offensive game. There is no disrespect to Charlie Morton and who the Astros have, but there is no Kershaw or Max Scherzer or Chris Sale or just Blake Snell last year, Tyler Glasnow. To me, this is an offensive series, which I'm hoping for. I think a lot of baseball fans, maybe not some of the old school guys, but a lot of baseball fans like to see a 6-7, 8-9 type of game. I don't know if we'll see a whole series like that for 4, 5, 6, 7 games, but I do think this series has potential to be very high scoring and very entertaining inning in and inning out. So offensive matchup is what comes to mind for me, but really my biggest pinpoint curiosity is, can both those guys, Rosario and Alvarez, keep up the offensive firepower?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind with this matchup is there could have been more exciting matchups, 100%. We could have seen, if you're totally impartial to either of these two teams, you probably would have rather seen Red Sox Dodgers or Astros Dodgers because of the rematch. But I like this matchup a lot because the Braves haven't been to a World Series in 20-something years, and the Astros now, under a new manager, have a chance, in my opinion at least, have a chance to clean their slate a little bit. Because, like I said, new manager in Dusty Baker, they're presumably playing clean baseball now. So I think there is a lot of highlights for this matchup. Super happy for the Braves to be able to get here, especially for Freddie Freeman, 12 years in Atlanta, his first World Series appearance. But yes, back to Alvarez and Rosario. In my opinion, it's pretty near impossible that they play as good as they did again, because literally within a day of each other, Alvarez sets an ALCS record and Rosario ties an NLCS record for 14 hits and only through 6 games. The other guys that had 14 in the past had 7 full games. So they really could not have done any better. So what are the odds they do that again? Very, very low. Are they going to come up with big hits? I'm sure, but there's going to need to be other standout guys on this team, especially for the Braves if they're going to want to win the series, because I think the advantage is as Astros all the way. They do have the more spread out, the better offensive lineup. Now, you can definitely argue that in the NLCS against the Dodgers that the Braves had a just as good or better offense, but that's relying on Eddie Rosario hitting .560 in the NLCS. So if Eddie Rosario or Freeman or Ozzie don't come out, or Austin Riley, and have a huge series, then the Astros are going to have the better offensive experience, because if Alvarez is off, then you've got Correa, who's top 3, top 2 best shortstop in the league. If not him, it's going to be Michael Brantley or Jose Altuve or Yuli Gurriel. The list goes on of who the Astros have, and when you look at who are the big offensive guys on the Braves, it's Rosario, it's Freeman, it's Austin Riley, and Ozzie here and there, and maybe Adam Duvall. But it's really those 3 main guys, and if one of them's not on, like I said, they all were on against the Dodgers, so who's to say they can't do that again? Just odds are that they won't. So the biggest takeaway for me is the offensive side of the game goes in the Astros' favor, so I think they have an advantage there.
Yeah, and like you said, recency bias is really hard not to take into account, because a lot of people would agree on paper Astros do have the better lineup offensively. They had arguably the best lineup of the final 4 teams, Red Sox, Dodgers, health-wise especially.
That's another thing before you continue. Both these rosters, with the exception of Lance McCullers for the Astros and Acuna, you can say those are two big guys, but these are pretty healthy. It's not the Dodgers who's missing 4 key guys, or this. It's going to be a good matchup because mostly healthy rosters.
Yeah. So again, who do you roll with? The on paper Astros, both are healthy, that are the better offensively team, like I said, on paper, or the red hot Braves. That is a predicament for me to consider. But to me, defensively, pitching, I think that obviously the Braves need to steal a game eventually if they want a shot. That's just how baseball is, especially when they're not.
They're going to have somebody or several guys play big the whole series offensively if they want to win, but that's definitely possible.
But game 1 with Morton, probably their best pitcher?
Yeah,
arguably,
I would say
100%.
Their best pitcher.
They need him to really step it up. Not saying he won't or not saying he can't, but I just think game 1 is a big swing for the Braves that they pulled off. Not really just in the sense of winning the series, but just to me giving the Astros the 1-0 lead, and we know they don't care where they play. The Astros, it doesn't matter if it's at home, it doesn't matter if it's the Red Sox, it doesn't matter if it's in Atlanta. They don't care where they play. They need to take every single game they can. I think game 1 is one of the most important. Everyone would agree with that, and everyone would say that as well. But I just think having your best pitcher being away, this is your best shot of stealing one early on. Game 2 could be completely different. We don't know the circumstances then. Game 1, I know who I'm pitching with going in for the Braves. Astros aren't even decided yet. This is a huge one if I want the Braves to have a chance in this series.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up pitching. Obviously, that's the next big thing to talk about. You mentioned earlier that likely we're not going to see any games that are complete pitching duels.
Yeah.
I think that'll be mostly true except for game 1. Charlie Morton is the set starter for the Braves, and Framber Valdez likely going to be starting for the Astros. That hasn't been set in stone yet, but his last outing was Game 5 against Boston, where he went 8 innings in 1-run baseball. So definitely the best starter that the Astros have in Valdez. So the Game 1 could be a 2-1, a 2-2 game. Then the starters come out and it expands from there. So Game 1, I would look for to be low scoring, but for the most of the series, when Braves get deeper in their rotation, Max Fried, yes, he's a good pitcher. The Dodgers lit him up, and I do expect him to give up some runs. Same thing with Ian Anderson, a solid pitcher, but he's going to give up runs. And on the Astros side, you get deeper into their rotation. Zach Greinke hasn't had good stuff this postseason, and Luis Garcia has been on and off. I think Game 3 struggled, but then in Game 6 pitched well. So more runs will be scored as the series continues, but Game 1 I think would be low scoring. And looking at these two teams' bullpens, I think is where the Braves' biggest advantage comes in. The Braves have a much better bullpen. We saw Tyler Matzik last game totally shove against the Dodgers and really strike out 3 of their best hitters, including Mookie Betts, to really not end the game because it was not the 9th inning, but essentially put the nail in the coffin for the Dodgers. So he's good. Will Smith, their most popular closer, is good. AJ Minter is good. And when you look at the Astros bullpen, there's not a whole lot that I like. So definitely advantage Braves there. And all in all, I think both these teams match up well, but I think the Astros have the edge.
Yeah, in total, pick your poison. They got their pros and cons, but for me, this might be, you could argue it's slightly biased, but I just have a hunch that the Braves got this one. I do think if it's the way I see it, if one team were to sweep the other, I would say the Astros all day. I just think they've been there before, completely different team in some circumstances for sure, but I just think if the series were to be quick and early, I would say the Astros 4-5. But if it's a late series, I'm going with the Braves 6-7. And my final prediction is a late series. I got the Braves 1-6.
Yep. Back to what I said about the Braves bullpen. I think that is their only advantage in this series. I think the Astros have it in every other way. I'm going to go Astros in 6. I think the Braves put up a really good fight and they hang in games because of their pitching staff and because of their pen. But when you get down 4 or 5 runs earlier, or 3, whatever, you get down early like I think the Braves are going to do, your bullpen can't save you. So I think it's going to be a good series. It's going to be a hard-fought series. There's going to be highlights from both sides, but I'm going to go Astros in 6. Remember to comment down below your predictions. That's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. 2-Minute Warning.